This week we celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. But do you know that we have a Sinai-Grace physician who stood with Dr. King during the Civil Rights Movement? Our Tina Taylor has more. Tina?
As we celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., it is especially meaningful to hear from one of his dear friends. So today I'm sitting down with Sinai-Grace's own Dr. William Anderson. Dr. Anderson, lots of people know you for your work in medicine, but you also played a key role in the American Civil Rights Movement, and you were a close personal friend with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Tell me how you met him.
I was fortunate enough to marry a lady who was a very good friend of the King family. As a matter of fact, my late wife had a brother who was the same age as Martin Luther King Jr., and they were classmates in high school and in college. So when we got married, having no resources of my own, stayed with my mother-in-law. So Martin Luther King Jr. would visit my mother-in-law's home almost on a daily basis.
What was Dr. King like before he was a civil rights leader? What was he like as a person?
He was a fun, loving student, as most were. As a matter of fact, I can say he perhaps enjoyed life more than most people because he enjoyed what he was learning to become. In other words, his father and an uncle and grandfather had all been ministers, and he was aspiring to one day be a minister.
Before becoming involved in civil rights yourself, you had a successful practice in Georgia. Tell me what it was like practicing at that time.
Being an African American first and being an osteopathic physician second meant that I could not get hospital privileges in the town where I practiced because neither an African American or an osteopathic physician could belong to the state medical society. That was a prerequisite for joining a hospital staff. But when I entered practice, I just assumed hospital privileges. I just thought if you're a doctor, you had hospital privileges, until they found out that I was putting patients in the hospital and I was managing the patients, until the hospital administrator found out that I was a DO and I was black, called me to his office, said, "Are you a member of the State Medical Society?" He knew I was not. But you have to belong to that society in order to have staff membership. So my practice was office-based, but I did a lot of work in the homes. I delivered babies in the home.
And is that what spurred you to become involved in civil rights yourself?
Certainly. That was, and I guess what prompted me to get involved was the students' effort to start a voter registration project. That is, blacks in rural Georgia and in much of the South, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, blacks could not get registered to vote. They could not vote. And a student group known as the Students Nonviolent Coordinating Committee came into Albany, Georgia, where I was practicing, and they started encouraging blacks to go and get registered to vote. Needless to say, they were not encouraged to do so by the white establishment. And I saw them doing that, and I was in the comfort of my office with a great practice, mind you, but I saw these kids placing their own personal safety at risk to get these people, my people, and me registered to vote. And I was uncomfortable with that. So I got out there and joined in with them.
And during your fight for equality, you were jailed several times, some of which were with Dr. King. Tell me what that was like for you.
Well, I guess we were jailed together several times. We were put out on the work gang several times. But I guess the most dramatic point was when Martin Luther King was to go on Meet the Press. And we were in jail at the time, and he had vowed he would not come out of jail until the white establishment, I'm talking about the members of the city council and the mayor, until they would sit down and discuss with us, anyway, the issues relating to segregation and discrimination. We were in jail many times. I cannot say I enjoyed it. Being in jail is a depressing experience, one that I don't wish on anybody. But we felt as though this was for a just cause.
And as we remember Dr. King, what would you like people to know about him and his dedication to the betterment of others?
If there's any such thing as a calling, a divine calling, if you would, whether you are religious or not, I do believe that there are people on this earth that have a purpose in life. I believe that Martin Luther King's purpose in life was to be that civil rights leader. I do believe.
And as a civil rights leader and someone dedicated to the care of others, what do you think of the progress that we've made and where we're headed?
It is easier to change the laws than it is to change the hearts and minds of people. Let me say that. Because there are still people fighting the Civil War, even today. And Civil War been over with how many years? I don't believe that you can restrain the heartless, but you cannot change the heart. So I'm saying that, are things better now? Yes, I don't have to sit in the back of the bus unless I want to. I can register and I can vote. But every once in a while, racism rears its ugly head. So we have a lot of work yet to do. And that other major hurdle is to change the hearts and minds, the way people think. We're not there yet.
Dr. Anderson, it's really been an honor. Thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome.
If you'd like to see more of Tina's interview with Dr. Anderson and his recollections of Dr. Martin Luther King, just visit our YouTube channel.